I'm James, 36, a project manager living in Atlanta. Every moment, every breath of my life revolved around my now ex-wife, Claire, 34. She worked at a mid-sized finance firm downtown, leaving for office every morning with her coffee mug and confident smile. We had been married for 8 years, and in those years we had raised 2 beautiful daughters, built a home with our blood and sweat, a home whose every wall was filled with our memories, children's laughter, nights spent together, and the pursuit of dreams. I was sure that our bond was unbreakable. Our love was something that only grew stronger with time. But somewhere, deep in my heart, the love that was still alive was probably my own fault. That Wednesday evening, as the sun was setting and a slight chill was spreading across the streets of Atlanta, my world suddenly stopped. It felt like a heavy stone had been placed on my chest, crushing every hope and dream I had. The truth of Claire's infidelity was revealed to me, and it was so bitter that it felt like someone had ripped my heart apart. It wasn't a sudden storm. It was a storm that had been building up in my mind for weeks, which I ignored, thinking I was probably wrong. But that evening, all my suspicions came true, and the part of my life that I had thought was most precious slipped through my hands like sand. Just to get rid of the shadow in my mind, which was not letting me sleep peacefully every night, I convinced myself that maybe it was just my misconception. I thought, I will calm my doubts by installing a small camera, and then everything will be fine. But what that camera showed me was no less than a sword for me. It cut my heart in such a way that instead of blood, pain started flowing from every wound. An unknown person, bald, probably around 45, that smile on the face which was poison for me, was sitting on the same sofa in our living room where Claire and I used to laugh and talk at night. He was laughing in my house, in my life, with my wife. His hand was on her thigh, so comfortably, as if his presence there was a normal thing. And then Claire went and sat in his lap, as if my 8-year-old marriage, my love, the father of my daughters, my whole world never existed. They were lost in the moment, and I was watching them like a stranger on my own screen. My daughters were sleeping innocently in their room upstairs, in their dream world, while downstairs my heart was breaking into pieces, as if someone was trampling it underfoot. Sleep was a distant dream for me that night. There was a pain in my chest, as if someone had placed a mountain of stone in it, which I could not even move. I sat in the dark room and kept watching the footage over and over, as if trying to convince myself that all this was a bad dream, that it could not be true. But those timestamps on the screen were screaming and challenging my every hope. All this had happened 72 hours ago, in my own home, on my own couch. My home, which was my refuge, my love, which was my strength. Everything shattered in front of me, like a glass palace that was broken in an instant. Still, I did not say a word to Claire. My anger, my pain, my tears, everything was boiling inside me. I hid my wounds and decided that I would respond to this betrayal thoughtfully and with a cool mind, so that he too feels the pain he had given me. A storm of anger, pain, and betrayal raged in my chest, burning me from the inside out. But I didn't let the fire go out. I wiped my tears, held my broken heart, and thought about my next step with a cool head. I knew that if I took any action in anger, everything would fall apart. So I buried my wounds in my heart and, like a warrior, secretly planned my strategy. For the next several weeks, I collected every piece of evidence I could find that could prove my pain. I wasn't a spy, but at that point, I became a stranger searching for the truth of my own life. I took screenshots of Claire's text from her laptop. Every message, every word pierced my heart like a new needle. I secretly took pictures of her when she left the house on the pretext of gym nights, as if some unknown person was watching her life. I kept the receipts from the restaurants where she spent time with someone else, without me. Every piece of evidence was a new wound for me, which deepened my heart, but I did not let myself break down. I made my pain a shield, which made me stronger, not weaker. In the midst of all this, I met a divorce lawyer. Secretly, without anyone knowing, I got the divorce papers prepared. Every meeting, every paper, every signature was my answer to the betrayal that Claire had given me. I molded my pain, my anger, into a weapon that was precise and infallible. I wanted that when the truth came out, Claire would have no answer. Meanwhile, Claire's birthday was approaching. That day, which earlier used to be an occasion of happiness for us, was now like an occasion for me. I knew that her office used to organize a small party on her birthday every year, some cupcakes, balloons, and laughter. But this time, something else was going on in my mind. mind. I thought, this will be the day when I will settle the accounts for my pain. Claire's birthday was a small, joyous occasion in her office every year. Her colleagues would get together and throw a small party. Chocolate and vanilla cupcakes on the table, colorful balloons fluttering in the air, and the atmosphere full of laughter and fun. They would sing songs, cut cakes, and Claire's smile would light up the room. But this time, my heart was filled with nothing but joy, but cold anger and deep pain. I had something else in mind, a plan that was an answer to my broken heart, a way to settle scores for the betrayal. I thought, this is the day I will make her feel the pain she caused me. I chose a sympathy card, the kind people send when they lose a loved one. My hands were shaking as I looked at the card, but I was determined. Written in big black letters on the front of the card were, "Sorry for your loss." Those words were not just a sentence to me, they were testimony to the loss of 8 years of love, my trust, and my life. I opened the card, and my broken heart, my pain, my anger took up the pen. I wrote, "You lost a faithful husband who meant everything to you. You lost a loving home we built together, and you lost all the respect I gave you. Enjoy your lunch, Claire. P.S. Check your folder." Every word came from my heart, like drops of blood dripping onto the paper. Inside the card, I taped a small USB stick. It contained all the evidence of my pain, which I had painstakingly collected over weeks. It contained videos of Claire and the stranger in my house, on my couch, tearing my life apart. There were screenshots, his texts, which told the story of his infidelity. There were logs, which tracked his every move, and a PDF file, which I named Claire's Infidelity, First Chapter. That name was not just a title for me, it was the first page of my pain, which she gave me. I once again recalled that footage while inserting that USB in the card, and there was a strange peace in my heart, like I was finally going to settle the score of my pain, which she gave me. I once again recalled that footage while inserting that USB in the card, and there was a strange peace in my heart, like I was finally going to settle the score of my pain. I packed that card in a courier and arranged for it to be delivered to her office at 12:30 p.m., exactly at lunchtime. I knew that when she opens that card, her colleagues will be around, and her world is going to collapse at the same moment, just like mine was destroyed. That was the final gift of my tears and anger. The sympathy card, the USB, and the truth I had so painfully collected. I felt a strange peace in my heart, but also a burning sensation that grew every time I recalled the footage. I put the card in a plain, white envelope with only Claire's name written on it. I wanted the moment when she opened it to be as shocking to her as that Wednesday evening was to me. I strictly instructed the courier service to deliver the card to her office at 12:30 p.m. at lunchtime sharp. I knew her colleagues would be around at that time, laughing and joking over cupcakes and balloons, and that would be the moment when her world would be rocked. At 12:42, my phone rang. My heart skipped a beat when I saw her name on the screen. I picked up the phone, and her voice echoed in my ears. She was crying, but there was not a trace of apology in her voice, only anger, only accusation. "Why did you insult me in front of everyone, James?" she screamed, her voice shaking, as if she was on the verge of breaking down. "You ruined my job! You ruined my life!" Each word brought another sting to my chest, but the pain inside me had turned into a cold silence, not anger. I said in a calm, ice-cold voice, "Claire, I ruined nothing. You ruined your life, not your job. I just exposed the truth you were hiding from me." My words were neither angry nor a scream, only the solid truth. Then, without listening to her response, I hung up. That bang was like a door closing for me, of our relationship, of our memories. By 3 p.m., she returned home. I was standing in the living room, next to the couch where she had shattered my trust. She came in through the door, her face red, her eyes swollen. She was packing her bags hurriedly, as if someone had taken everything from her. There was a strange restlessness in her movements, perhaps anger, perhaps embarrassment, perhaps defeat. She began stuffing her clothes, her books, her small possessions into an old suitcase. I stood there silently, watching her. There was hatred in my heart, but also an emptiness, as if the James inside me, who loved her so much, was now lost somewhere. She looked at me once, perhaps wanting to say something, but my silence stopped her. All I did was quietly place the divorce papers, which I had prepared weeks ago, in front of her. Then, without saying a word, I walked out, as if there was nothing left for me in that house. My daughters, the most precious possessions in my life, were with my sister that day. I didn't want them to be a part of the storm that was brewing between me and Claire. When Claire returned home, her face was streaked with tears, but her eyes still held a stubbornness I hadn't seen before. She was packing her bags, but suddenly stopped. She looked at me. Her voice held a broken hope. She pleaded, "James, we can fix this. For our children. For our home. Please." Her voice was trembling, as if she really wanted me to forgive her. But the James in me, the one who could have given up everything for her, was now dead. My words were silent, my eyes cold. Without saying anything, without looking into her eyes, I handed her the divorce papers, which I had prepared with weeks of hard work and pain, into her shaking hands. Those papers weren't just papers to me. They were the last vestiges of my broken trust, my shattered dreams, and my pain. I looked at her one last time, but now she was just a stranger to me. Then I turned around, opened the door without saying anything, and walked out, as if there was nothing left for me in that house. My steps were heavy, but my heart was light, as if I had finally set my pain free. Weeks later, the divorce proceedings were finalized. During the court hearings, Claire made one last attempt to save the house. She argued with the lawyers, probably thinking she could keep the home we had built together. But Georgia law was on my side. Her infidelity, the evidence I had, and my pain became my shield in court. Eventually, the verdict came in my favor. I got our home, the home that echoed with my daughter's laughter, where I had built my dreams. I got primary custody of my daughters because I knew they would be safe and happy with me, and 70% of the assets were transferred to me, which was not just money, but compensation for my hard work and my broken trust. Claire's affair partner, who turned out to be a married client of her firm, also had his life destroyed. When the evidence I sent him, those videos, those texts, reached his company's HR, an investigation began. The man's infidelity and unprofessional behavior cost him his job. He was fired, and perhaps his own marriage was also ruined. I didn't feel any joy in this, but there was a strange relief that the person who set my life on fire also got his punishment. From that day on, I started a new beginning for myself. My home, my daughters, and my life were now in my control. But that pain, that silence, and that broken trust will always be with me, like an old injury that never fully heals. She had to pay the price for her mistake. Claire's affair partner, a married client of her firm, lost his life in the same fire she set at my house. When the evidence I sent her, the videos, the texts, and the receipts, reached her company's HR department, their world was turned upside down. An investigation began, and soon she was punished for her unprofessional behavior and infidelity. She was fired from her job, and I hear her own marriage was ruined. I didn't feel happy about it, but there was a strange sense of relief, as if the wheel of karma had come full circle. The one who broke my trust had to burn in the same fire. Now Claire lives in a small rented apartment, which is probably miles away from her old glamour. That big house, that luxury car, that glitz of the social circle, everything was taken away from her. Half of her salary now goes towards rent and essential expenses. That Claire, who was once the life of every party, whose smile lit up the room, had now lost her old shine. People started keeping distance from her. Perhaps the story of her infidelity was no longer hidden from anyone. That loneliness, that silence, which she had given me, had now become a part of her life. I started therapy to mend my broken heart. In every session, I would give words to my pain, let out my anger, and slowly try to rediscover myself. My daughters became my strength. I started spending more time with them, laughing with them, playing with them, listening to their little stories. All this was no less than a medicine for me. I picked up the guitar again, which was gathering dust in the corner of my room for years. Every tune reflected my pain, but also the hope of a new beginning. While touching each string, I felt as if I was giving voice to the silence within me, healing my wounds. Sometimes, when I am alone in the silence of the night, that moment comes to my mind, when Claire must have opened that sympathy card. I imagine her face. Perhaps she must have gone numb for a moment. Her eyes must have been a mixture of fear, embarrassment, and defeat. The office, where she used to go with confidence every day, must have become her biggest nightmare in that moment. The silence of her colleagues, their gazes, and that USB, which was revealing all her secrets. That moment was not just a revenge for me, it was an answer to my pain, my broken trust, and my silence. She had tried to snatch everything from my life, but that day, I showed her the mirror of her truth. That moment was not just an event for me, it was a poem, a creation that came out of the depths of my broken heart. What Claire must have felt when she opened that card was the same pain, the same grief, the same confusion, and the same deep silence that she gave me that Wednesday evening. I imagine that moment when she read my written words, when her fingers touched that USB, and when her world fell apart in an instant. Perhaps the numbness on her face was the same as on my face when I saw that footage. Perhaps the same silence echoed in her heart, which echoed in my heart every night. I returned to her the same pain that that she had given me. No more, no less. Just as much as had been burning in my heart for months. That moment was an opportunity for me to settle accounts. An opportunity to voice my wounds and show her the mirror of her truth. Claire didn't just lose our marriage. Those 8 years, those laughters, those nights, those dreams, all this was just a part. She lost that James, who could give his life for her. That James, who considered her every small and big dream as his own, who stood as a shield for her in every difficulty, who saw his world in her every smile. She lost forever that person, for whom she was once everything, her comfort, her strength, her life. Now that James inside me is alive only for his daughters, alive for his new dreams. For Claire, he has now become a memory that probably reminds her of her mistake every night.